Hey everyone, and welcome to my updated T13 Multishot guide. So in patch 2.6.1 there were quite a lot of buffs, and also Multishot got buffed a lot. So T13 is an absolute joke now. And basically what I did is I replaced a lot of the damage buffs and damage items from the typical T13 Multishot build, and just added more movement speed to it. And yeah, you can reach retarded amounts of mobility like this. And what you can see here is like beyond 400% movement speed bonus sometimes when I have like proc and when I have everything up. And these clips are from the PTR, where it was actually really difficult to control the character properly like this. And for example, I couldn't vault at all because of the high latency. It would actually slow me down. But on live servers this will definitely work, and it will be even quicker then because you have better control, you can actually vault, etc. And yeah, I would expect something like around 1.5 minutes average clear times, including really bad rifts. So you can probably like close 20 rifts per hour in solo, and a little bit more in groups even. So all in all, T13 got sped up a little bit more even, and it's also a little bit more convenient to farm now because you don't need a generator anymore. There's no focus and restraint, so generator is useless pretty much. And having this high mobility just makes it more fun to go through those pretty bad maps. You know, for example here, Sewer. You just blast through them and it actually feels pretty quick. So let's go over the setup real quick. Of course we're wearing the full Untitled Essence set for the Multishot bonus. You have the Yang's Recurve and the Demon's Legacy. It's just the typical items. And other than that, there's quite some changes compared to the previous T13 setup. So no more focus and restraint. We have an Everise band equipped from X3 bounties. We go for a Granger in the cube. And I also have a Regis Ring of Larceny. And this ring is a little bit special because you need to equip it because of this chance to fear that rolls on it to actually get the proc. And you will also need chance to fear on your helm. So on the secondary you can also roll up to 5.1% chance to fear, same as the ring. And I would say it's gonna be worth if you have like 8 or more percent chance to fear. And before that it's just too inconsistent, and you're probably better off not running it and choosing like a Stone of Jordan, for example. Stone of Jordan is really good because it's very consistent, like a damage bonus, especially on elites, because the trash dies one shot anyway. So if you don't want to bother with this or can't get it, then Stone of Jordan is a really good choice. In worst case you can also go with a convention, I would say. We also have a Crown's buff belt, which is like another 25% movement speed. It should be up almost all the time, because you're generally not really getting hit by a lot of stuff because everything's already dead when you arrive. But if you feel like a character is still a little bit weak, you can also consider going with a Harrington Waistguard. So if you feel like, you know, dropping a little bit of movement speed to, you know, gain like double damage is worth, then yeah, that is like one of the slots to change. And of course we have Nemesis Braces to spawn elites to get more progression and more drops. Hellfire Amulet is always good to like get you know, just additional passives because they're already strong. And because of doing it for a Granger, I have a Pride Spot equipped, which is also from the X3 bounties. You don't really need to equip it, you can also cube it. And there's a little bit of variation you can do because of this Ring of Royal Granger. For example, instead of 1 second arm guards, which I have in a cube here, it's it doesn't say how much, but it's actually a 50% movement speed, and it's also almost up all the time. But for example, you could also go with Gloves of Worship, which gives you a 10-minute shrine duration. That is really good, especially when you do like longer sessions, and like with that clearing speed you're gonna stack up a few shrines almost all the time. And yeah, there's probably some other like flavor choices that you can go for, but these are like the best items to get, I would say. And of course for the weapon slot we have the Dawn in the cube. On the skill setup there have also been a few changes. So there's no more focus and restraint, so we don't need a generator at all. You have more than enough hatred anyway, so that's pretty good. And we also don't need the Wolf Company anymore because the like damage buff is just irrelevant at that point. So I took Shadow Power, Shadow Glide, which gives you a 30% movement speed buff for 5 seconds at the cost of 14 discipline, which is pretty good. And we also have Smoke Screen Displacement, which gives you a 100% movement speed buff for 1 second, also at the cost of 14 discipline. So generally you want to make sure that Shadow Power is always up, and then when you know that you can just, you know, run or vault for a second straight, then you can also use the smurf screen for like an additional speed burst. And you have to keep an eye on your discipline a little bit, because you don't want to run too low, because otherwise you're not dealing any damage anymore, because Untitled Essence scales with the discipline you have. But generally it's not a big deal, because you have the Blood Vengeance, so you always get discipline back from picking up health globes. And we also have the Pride's Fall and a lot of physical seduction with Yang's V curve, etc. So if you're not too wasteful, it's not going to be a big deal. And if you should really drop low in discipline, you can always use the preparation to fill it up again, and it's going to be fine. Other than that, we have Multishot Arsenal, just like simply the rune to go for. Because of the rockets, we pair this with ballistics. And we have Vengeance Sieve, of course, for infinite hatred. And with the Dawn, it's permanent. And we have Wall Tumble, just for even more mobility, especially on those like open maps where, you know, like there's a lot of ground to cover, or in very bad layouts like cave maps or something. You sometimes don't really encounter any mobs, and then it's better to just vault instead of run and shoot. And you know, whenever you encounter like a big pack, then you stop vaulting again and shoot, etc. As for the passives, I mentioned those two already. The other two like best passives, for sure we want tactical advantage at least, and also ambush, because yeah, generally you're farming, you know, in a way where everything is getting one shot, and ambush helps ensuring that you one shot everything. It's like a very strong damage buff. I would definitely not change that. And as a fifth passive, I have Blood Vengeance on my Hellfire. I would suggest Steady Aim. It's a 20% multiplicative buff that's basically up all the time, really strong, and once you have like too much damage anyway, then you can also go with Hot Pursuit for even more mobility. So these are the two best choices here. One last thing I should mention are the legendary gems. So of course necessary is the Boot of the Hoarder, 40% move speed, and you get a lot of gold on the way, which is, you know, helpful for the augments and rewarding, etc. And I would really suggest to always run the Bane to Powerful in tournaments. It's just a really nice damage boost, very consistent. You get some damage reduction as well, and of course you get even more damage boost against elites, which are basically the only targets that might not die instantly sometimes. So yeah, just a solid choice. And for the third gem, yeah, I would suggest the Stay Stone of Vengeance. But if you feel you have really overkill damage, you can also go with Rapid Lightning. But it's really wasteful to use this gem. It's only 25% movement speed, and it procs decently often, but it's also very short duration. And well, the Stay Stone is just a huge multiplier compared to the tiny amount of mobility that you gain from this gem. So this is kind of up to you. If you have a strong character, go with it. Otherwise, just take the Stays. And this concludes the guide pretty much. So maybe for some closing remarks, of course Multishot is not the only Tower 13 build that you can make on Demon Hunter. There are many other builds, but if you care about efficiency and you want to, you know, the best and fastest farming build, then Multishot is definitely the way to go. Also for bounties and for like low jars, etc. You're clearing the entire screen with one click, and you do it consistently. You have really high mobility, you never run out of resource, you don't rely on Aegeum. It's just, you know, such a good build basically. And also compared to other classes, I think it's still on the stronger side. There are some other really strong builds on, like for example Monk with Light, and Necro with the Auto Lancer. But generally, I don't think that, you know, Demon Hunter will feel weaker compared to those classes. At the very least, I think they're going to be somewhere on the same level. So yeah, all in all, it's looking pretty strong. And at least for me personally, it's also a little bit more convenient to farm now without the focus and restraint. So yeah, that's pretty good about it. And I hope you enjoyed this little guide, and hopefully it will help you and you're gonna have fun with it as well. So thank you for watching, and see you in Season 12.